This is the week of Christmas, and today we're going to be talking about giving the gift of a Disney vacation. This is episode 8. I am Sariah.
I'm Aurora.
And together we're just your average Disney travelers. So I'm going to have Rory start us off by painting a picture for us.
Okay.
Tell me a story.
Yeah. So imagine waking up on Christmas. You go and check to make sure everything is ready, and you soon hear the thundering sound of footsteps. Your kids come running into the room with bright smiles on their faces. You and the rest of your family start opening gifts, laughing and smiling the entire time. Finally, there is only one present left, and it's labeled for the whole family. The kids eagerly open it and find out that they're going to Disney. They are filled with disbelief. Is this for real, you hear? You tell them to go get dressed because they are leaving in an hour. They quickly jump up and run to go get ready.
All right, so this is such a common occurrence. I can't tell you how many times when I was a travel agent, so many people would contact me wanting to do this for their family, for their kids. They wanted to go to Disney. They wanted to tell their kids Christmas morning and leave that day and go and be in the parks for that week. And this can be a really fun idea, but there's also some cons to this. There's pros and cons, and so we are not going to discourage anyone from that, but we want to make sure that you're well informed and that you go in with your eyes wide open and you make the decision that's best for your family. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the pros and cons are to going to Disney that week between Christmas and New Year's, what some alternatives might be that are still just as fun and magical. And then if you're going to go, or whenever you're going to go, if you want to give the gift of Disney, what's a fun way to present that, like to wrap? How do you wrap Disney up in a gift? So those are the things we're going to talk about. So let's start with the pros and cons. You want to start us off?
Well, for pros, one of the very biggest things is that school's out. Almost for everyone,
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone's got school off at that time, and so you don't have to worry about missing school, making up school. You don't have to worry about nasty letters from school about why are you taking your kids on vacation during school. So that makes it convenient. Another thing going along with that, a lot of businesses also have time off. So a lot of times a parent that normally would have to get time off to go on vacation has that time off between Christmas and New Year's automatically. I know not everyone does, but there are a lot that do, and so that makes it extra convenient because now you're not having to ask for time off and you're not having to take vacation time. This is already part of your holiday time off.
Yeah. The weather is nice during this time.
Yeah, it's really nice, especially if you're coming from the north, going to the south, whether you're going to Disneyland or Disney World. They're both in very mild areas, parts of the country for Christmas usually. During that time of year, winter weather is very pleasant, and so that could definitely be a perk.
Yeah.
Another thing is there's lots of fun celebrations during this season. There are extra, the shows are Christmas themed or holiday themed. The fireworks, they have fun holiday merchandise, fun food and treats. There's snow on Main Street, Santa's there. There's just a lot of really, really fun holiday experiences that obviously you're not going to get at any other time of year.
Yeah. It's a really good time for a surprise. Just in general, it's easier because you don't have to, if you want it to be a real full surprise when they find out, you don't have to worry about making it seem kind of suspicious or interesting. If you're, I don't know however you try to bring it up.
It's a natural time. Yeah. It's a natural time to do a big gift or a big surprise. And that can be real, and that especially for when you're talking about budget, Disney vacations are costly, and if you're planning on going on a Disney vacation, a lot of times that ends up being all you can afford right then. And so it's kind of nice to double that up as a Christmas gift, because you were going to buy Christmas presents, and this helps to offset a little bit of it. Obviously, it probably won't offset all of it. And if it does, then I want to be adopted by you, because you give a lot of big Christmas gifts. But most likely you are not going to exactly completely offset it, but it does help take a little bit of the edge off, or at least you're killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
So, all right. And then finally, just the magic of Christmas plus the magic of Disney blended together is, I don't know, what's more magical than magical?
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is, but it's that. It's just really, really a fun idea. And so you can really see why this is a popular idea. Unfortunately, because of all of those things, we have some cons, and they all stem from the exact same thing. It's busy.
Yes.
Everyone's
Crowded.
Everyone has this idea, and it's so magical, and it's everyone's dream of, oh, this wouldn't be so special. Well, yeah, it would for you and everybody else. And this ends up being the busiest week of the entire year. One of the other things I got asked a lot was just, when's the best time to go to Disney, which is a very difficult answer to give, because it all depends on what's important to you. But most people were looking at going when the crowds weren't going to be so big. It was going to be lower crowds. This is the opposite. This is the busiest week of the entire year. Think of the busiest time you've ever been, or if you've been before, the busiest time you've ever been. It's busier than that. It is not uncommon for the parks to actually close, and not close, but like reach their maximum capacity where they cannot allow anybody else in. And it wouldn't matter if you had a ticket or not. If they've reached maximum capacity, they can't let anyone in. Now, granted, most of the time, then what you do is you just go to a different park. But if you're wanting to, especially Magic Kingdom or Disneyland, those parks, man, they reach capacity. And if you think about it, that's the most people they can fit in that park, which means then you've got crowds. The crowd level is insanely high. So,
Yeah.
Long lines,
Yeah.
just busy, packed areas. Think about trying to wait for fireworks or parades or anything when you've got everybody else also wanting to see that. Also that time of when you have that much demand, prices go up. So even if you book way early and you have all the selection available, they're going to cost, those same hotel rooms are going to cost more than the week before or the week after. And then if you don't book super early, you're looking at a limited options. They're filling up, and so now your selections are fewer, so you don't get the exact type of room that you wanted, and certainly probably not in the price range you were hoping for. Anyways, things like that. So these are the cons, and it's important to be aware of them. Now that doesn't mean you should never go the week of Christmas to New Year's. It just means that if you're going to go, you really need to be prepared and plan ahead. Yeah. So what can we do to plan ahead if you're going to go the busiest time of the year? What are some of the things that you can think of?
Well, you should bring some things to do while you're waiting in long lines.
Yeah, for sure. And you'd want to bring things, but also you can also use the apps. They have activities to do in the lines, or other fun games on your phone. Things that you can do as a group or a team. Yeah. You would want to, I always suggested that you pick what's the most important, pick your top priorities. And if you have a family, then maybe have everyone pick the one thing that's most important for them to do that day. And then realize that might be the only things you do are those top things, and just make those the priority and make sure you get to those things. But if you do that going in and understand that, then that's going to be fine. But be prepared for that. What else would you say?
Have a plan in case you guys get separated. Just
where to meet,
It's a good idea to have anytime, but especially when it's the most crowded time.
Yeah. It increases the likelihood just because of the chaos. And the craziness. And it's important to know, and it's important for parents to know and realize that there has never been an abduction from the Disney parks. We have never had a child kidnapped or anyone go missing. There are, though, every day kids that get separated from their parents. And so Disney is prepared for that. They're trained for that. They know how to handle that. And I always say to, as soon as you get to, especially with young kids, because you're not going to be able to say, oh, meet me at this, you know, even at the castle, even a kid is not going to know how to find the castle if they're not in viewing of it. So what I always would say is when you get to the parks, teach your kids who a cast member is. And a cast member, obviously, every person looks different, so it can't go by their looks. And it can't even go by their uniform, because the cast members have different uniforms depending on what job they're doing or what area they're working. But they all wear a name tag, and those name tags all look the same. And so I would point out what those name tags are, what they look like. And so you find someone wearing this name tag, and you tell them that you can't find your mom or whoever, grandma, whoever you're with, and they will know exactly what to do. I also always kept on my kids my contact information, my husband's contact information on them. And back in the olden days, we don't do it as much anymore, but we used to always wear lanyards.
Yeah.
And so I'd put that in the lanyards. This was, and you could still do this. I still would recommend it for little kids because they're pretty much waterproof. You know, if they get splashed or wet, they're not gonna, the information's still good. But I would put our name, our cell phone numbers, and then sometimes the hotel we were staying at. And that way, if they were to get lost, they can hand that to their cast member that they find. And then all they have to do is give us a call or send us a text or whatever. And it's an easy way to connect. But it is procedures. These are procedures that they're very familiar with. Happens all the time. And quickly, most of the time, if you're missing your kid, they're probably already with a cast member. It's just a matter of you finding a cast member saying, my daughter's lost, my son's lost, or I can't find him. He's 5 years old. He's wearing this shirt. Here's a picture of him. That's another thing I always say. Take a picture of your kids before you leave the hotel room even, so you have the outfit that they're wearing that day. And you can just show them, this is what he's wearing today. And they'll be on their phones or walkies or whatever they're using and have the code out, and they'll be, yep, we've already got him, and he's over here, and it's all good. It's all good. But... and that's good, like you said. It's really important to know this anytime, but especially when it's so dang busy, because no matter what, with all the people rushing and pushing, and it's kind of hard to imagine right now during COVID, but there was a day, and there will probably be a day again, when we're in crowds like that, where there's a little bit of pressing up, you know, there's people, it's crowded, and so it's not unheard of for that to happen. So be prepared for that. Okay, I don't know if you heard that, I just hit the tables. Anyways, okay, some alternatives though. So that's if you're going to go ahead and go that week, be prepared with those things in mind. But there's other ways that you can still have this magical kind of reveal and this experience and fun thing to do as a gift without necessarily going that very week. If at all you can avoid it, I do recommend avoiding it. For some people, they can't. That they have to go when kids are out of school, or that's the only time that they're going to be able to have time off of work, and that's fine. I get it. That if that works for you, then that's fine. But if you can wait, it's probably a little bit more relaxed and enjoyable if you can give it a couple of weeks at least.
Yeah.
So the second week of January, it really starts to slow down because now people are back at school and work, and so the parks are quieter. And it will be like that for a good couple of months before the spring breaks start. Now, especially at Disney World, there's really never a time that it's slow. It's going to still be kind of busy, but it's going to be kind of busy like right now, where it's they don't allow the max capacity in anyways, as opposed to when you go the week of Christmas and New Year's. I should always say, man, this is a disclaimer. I guess we don't have to say it, but I should say too, obviously this year's, dear friend, if you're going to Disney World next week, you probably don't have to worry about this, because they're only letting in what, like 30 or 35% of their capacity anyways, and there's no big, you know, fireworks display or big parades. And so this year, throw this out the window. If you happened to book it this year and you are, you know, you didn't even know that you were so brilliant to do it during a pandemic to when the crowd issue would be not an issue, then that's great. But if you're planning ahead for next year or a couple of years down the road, we're not always going to be in a pandemic by next Christmas. I sure hope that they're not still at 35% capacity. I don't think that they will be. And so these are the things you want to keep in mind. But yeah, so January, February, a lot slower than Christmas to New Year's. Another thing to do, you can think about is the before Christmas. Before Christmas is also a lot slower. Now, I don't know that December, like the first couple weeks of December, are probably still a little bit busier than the January weeks, because there's a lot of people that have clued into this. Go right after Thanksgiving, it's slower. You still get all the Christmas stuff, because by January they're getting rid of this Christmas stuff and they're going back to normal. And so if you really want the Christmas experience, so you might want to go after Thanksgiving. Or my very favorite week to go is the week before Thanksgiving. That's when we've gone a couple of times, and it's great because Christmas is up, but it's the slowest time of Christmas being up during that season, because most people are waiting for Thanksgiving to really get into all that Christmas celebration and everything. So that's my favorite time to go. I shouldn't tell people that, because now all 5 people that watch our podcast are gonna go and make it crowded for me next time I want to go that week. All right. Okay, so so whenever you're gonna go, whether it's Christmas Day or a little bit after Christmas, or if it's a birthday or something, you're gonna give the gift. How do you do that? How do you wrap a Disney trip? So what are some ideas? What are some fun ways that you could give a gift of Disney?
Well, you can just kind of give them like an ornament from Disney as a present. It could be like if you're going like within like the next couple of weeks where it's still
That year? Yeah. Christmas?
Yeah, so like literally like the next week or right then you can easily find an ornament with the year on it. But if you're gonna go like in the next year, you would have to write the year on it.
Yeah, you can personalize it yourself. You can even make the ornament yourself. You don't have to
true.
buy one.
Yeah.
But even if you bought one, there's a lot that we purchased that didn't have anything on it, and I just took a Sharpie, or you can get a fancy gold one or silver one or whatever and make it pretty. But just put in the date.
Yeah.
To kind of personalize that. That's a fun way. You could wrap the park tickets or magic bands or plane tickets or whatever it is, anything that you're gonna, the tickets that you're gonna be using during that trip, and give that to them. That's something that's tangible, it can be opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do like make little puzzles for your kids to like
Solve.
Solve and like to figure out that they're going to Disney.
Yeah, that would be a really fun when they open it up and then it's a puzzle that they have to put together. Or I've seen what's really popular. You probably have seen these videos of it's a big box and they open it up and these balloons float up, and attached to the strings are, you're going to Disney World or you're going to Disneyland, and so that's a fun way. Rory did not think this was super fun, except that I reminded her we've actually done this and she didn't have a complaint. But luggage, you could give luggage, especially if it's like Disney themed, like maybe Mickey Mouse is on it, or the princesses, or Cars, or BB-8 or something, like some characters that they like, and that's the luggage that they would use on their trip.
In my defense, I'm not used to the concept of going to Disneyland or Disney World like right after Christmas.
Well, we never did it for
Christmas, and so I was sort of just thinking of just receiving a luggage just as a gift on its own.
No, but if the luggage was
originally
part of, here's the luggage you're going to use when we go on this Disney trip.
That's not boring.
Yeah. No. And another one where she thought was kind of boring, but which almost every year of her life she has received Disney clothing. And I think it was like, well, what does that have to do with going on a trip? You give me Disney clothing for my birthday and for my Christmas every year, whether or not we were going on a trip, which is true. But
they're good ideas. I'm not saying they're not good
they
ideas.
weren't ones she wanted to admit to or to bring up. She wanted to say all the fun ones.
Yeah.
But this is a fun way, especially if maybe this is not an everyday occurrence for your family. Especially, it'd be kind of a fun way. I think it's kind of fun too if the gifts all kind of were each little individual clues, and then they have this pile of luggage and stuffed animals and T-shirts and stuff, and have them figure out. Wait a minute, So that's kind of fun. All right. So what's another idea? One of the cool, fun ideas that I don't get to say.
You can make countdowns or buy countdowns. Do they make countdowns?
I'm sure there are people, you're probably on
Probably.
Etsy for sure,
So,
you
like,
could get them.
You can, yeah, make countdowns to give to your kids. You made me one once for my birthday.
I did.
And depending how you do it, you could probably easily do it right in front of your kids.
I think I made it in front of her. She was
She
so
did.
used to all the Disney crafting, she didn't
Yeah,
think anything
I
of it.
asked what you're doing, and you're like, "Oh, I'm making something for a client." I was
Oh,
like,
that's true.
Okay.
You could just lie to your kids. Yeah, it's for somebody else. Totally not. It doesn't have anything to do with you. Mind your own business, kid.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so a fun little Disney countdown to do as they look forward to their trip. For that particular case, that trip was going to be like just a couple of weeks later. And paired with that, you got clothes. She got, actually, that was when we did the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
Oh,
And so,
wait, which one?
The Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique,
Okay,
not the Elsa and Anna one.
Okay.
When we went to the
Yeah.
castle, and I gave you a Aurora dress, a Princess Aurora dress,
Yep.
and said that this and the countdown, and that dress was what you were going to wear, and that was kind of the other part of the reveal. The reveal was, first part was you're going to Disneyland in a couple of weeks, and then the second part was we were going to do a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. That is so hard to say. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And and you were gonna have this dress to wear, because that's another tip if you're gonna do Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. If you can, purchase the clothes before you get there, because they're so expensive there. But you can get those clothes even from the Disney store. It's gonna be less expensive than getting them at the boutique itself. Anyways, okay, yeah, so that was a great idea. Another one is to give gift cards. You could give gift cards that they would then get to use as their own spending money there for souvenirs or treats that they want or whatever. So that's a fun idea.
You can make scavenger hunts,
Yeah,
which
that would be a really fun one.
yeah.
As like a whole bunch of clues and things to do. Like, so they open up the first clue and it's in there
Yeah.
somewhere, and they have another gift or a different clue or whatever. And yeah. And that works. That's a fun one to do if you are
For
leaving
all
right away.
ages.
Yeah, it's good for
It
all
worked
ages.
for me.
I don't think we've ever done that one, have we?
No.
Oh, is that a hint?
Yeah.
Okay. So you could do that's a fun one to do, like if you are leaving that day, because the last one could be like in the garage at the car or whatever. Be like, oh, you better run and get dressed or whatever. Get in the car, we're leaving. Or it could be taking you back up to the room to pack or whatever. Anyways, so it could be, that's a fun one. But you could also do that still as a reveal for something that's coming down the road. So those can work honestly for trips that you're going right then, or if you're planning in the future, like say you're looking at maybe spring break or summer break, where it's convenient because you've got no school, and it's spring break, the weather's still pretty decent. Summer break, it's hot, but they are busier than their slowest times of year, but they're not as busy as Christmas. So keep that in mind. The last fun idea I had, and I don't know how much of this is I think I would still love to start it off, the first one, as a gift if you're doing a reveal. This is something we've never done before, but I have always thought it'd be fun to do, so we need to do this one of these times.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to have weekly activities as you look forward to your trip. Because I think the biggest thing that people don't like to tell their kids too far in advance, because you get the whole, when are we going? Is it time yet? And all that. And so the countdowns help because they have that visual. If you have activities to do, then that keeps them still in that frame of mind. But they're excited about the activities just as much. And so they're focused on that and not only on this big trip that's still a month or two away. So if you do fun weekly activities, I've always thought it'd be fun to have like a theme each week. And so like Friday night or Saturday night, you'd have a specific Disney movie or a Disney story, and have your dinner that is themed to that story or that character or whatever, and then maybe you watch the movie or you do an activity that goes along with that. And I think that's extra cool, especially if you have younger kids that maybe haven't seen some of the classics, because at Disney there's a lot of classics referred to in the rides and in the characters that they'll see, or even just in the parades and the shows. They're going to see some characters that they may not have ever seen their movies, and they maybe don't know the story of Snow White, and so it's kind of fun to go back and then show those to them as they build up to this Disney trip, so that they have those kind of stories fresh in their mind. And it's also activities you're doing together. You could take pictures. You can make a whole scrapbook about your pre-trip build-up. It could be really fun. But anyway, so that's another fun idea. So you could give like that first activity, you could have the supplies for it or the plans for it and give them that and say, this is what we're doing tonight. And then we're going to do this every week for the next 2 months. And then on the last one, it'll be the day before we leave or something like that. Might be fun, right?
Yeah.
Any other fun ideas or tips or things that we should bring up about giving the gift of Disney? Other than you're hoping that now at Christmas, you're hoping you're not.
I have my fingers crossed, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Not this year. I hope we get a gift of Disney. That's what we want. The gift of Disney is for Disneyland to open up again.
You even asked Santa.
I did. I met Santa a week or so ago. Don't be too jealous, kids, because he was thinking about all of you. But I happened to meet him, and that's what I asked for Disneyland to open up this year.
A lot better than what I asked him for.
She asked for something that he could never provide. She wanted straight A's.
What's that supposed to mean?
Okay, I wouldn't say never, but not this semester. Oh, she's a good student.
I feel called out.
Yeah, well, hey, you brought it up. I wasn't going to say what you asked for. You brought it up. Okay. Can you tell it's already Christmas break? We're kind of a little goofy and having a little too much fun. Okay. Yeah. Well, this week is a special week. We really hope that you have a Merry Christmas. We hope that you have experiences, just like I feel like we were just at Thanksgiving saying we hope you have meaningful experiences with your family, however that looks, but we honestly, sincerely hope that your Christmases are special and that you're with loved ones and that you're able to connect in whatever way that is, and that it's just a wonderful time of year for you. So, yeah. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We'll see you next week.
See you.